The year is 2022, world is starting to come back from COVID, but the Russians invade Ukraine. Queen Elizabeth dies, and Will Smith slaps the out of Chris Rock. The kids are not yet repeating a sequence of numbers for no reason at all. 6, 7! We sit around at home, arguing if Razer or Logitech makes the best gaming keyboards. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands,
we should make a keyboard out of magnets, yes?
welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. Now that we know where Wooting actually comes from the Netherlands, let's talk about some keyboards. In 2022, a pair of Dutch brothers, Calder and Eric, they launched a new innovative keyboard using magnetic Hall effect. This, the Wooting 60HE, and the world goes wild.
Actually cheating.
Since then, they have launched a few more products here and there, including the ever popular 80HE, and now it has made full circle. Wooting 60HE V2. Yes, it's been long enough that they launched the second version of their original hit. So does that mean you should jump out of your seat, throw your 60HE out the window and just
shut up and take my money?
Let's see what the major differences are between the original and also the V2, and if you should be paying $25 or more for the new model. Let's get started. Okay, with the launch of the new V2, should you be buying this? Well, yes and no. Let me just cut right to the chase. If you already have the 60HE Plus, you don't really need to. For the most part, you can just upgrade some of the components on your 60HE and you're 90% there to the V2. If you don't yet and you want a Wooting, then yes, the 60HE V2 is the clear choice. Let me get into why that is. So what do you get if you upgrade to the V2? Well, first of all, the case. Unlike the original plastic one in the 60HE, the V2 is made of full aluminum. Also, unlike the 80HE zinc case that was prone to chips, this is anodized and the silver here is perfect. It also comes in black. It just feels more premium over the original 60HE's plastic casing. From a sizing perspective though, they are identical, pretty much exactly same down to the millimeter. But you do get the choice of putting your Wooting strap on the left or the right for the V2. Now, next big change is the mounting style. The original Wooting 60HE is actually tray mounted, which is not the very best for comfort or sound, right? The new V2 is now silicone friction mounted, which means better dampening as well as sound. The mounting system is sandwiched between the plate, the upper plate, and the PCB. The plate is now FR4 now instead of steel, with a bit of poron in the center and a layer of thin PET sheet below to reduce the higher pitched sharp noises. Makes this a thocky keyboard now. The V2 comes pre-modded with the ability to mod even further. You see, given that this is a friction mounted keyboard, you can just literally lift the entire assembly up and out and just pulls out. Then you have the choice of two different fillers. The standard EPDM, the foam, which is like what the original 60HE had, or the new silicone insert. So, do you want to hear it? Let's go. So what do you think? First of all, they both sound good. This is an improvement from even the 80HE in my opinion. The EPDM foam makes the keyboard slightly larger sounding with a bit more volume and lower pitched sounds. The silicone insert makes the keyboard, in my opinion, sound cleaner with a snappier thunk that I actually really like a lot, so that actually is my choice. You could even remove it all if you want a bigger sound with a little bit more reverberations of an empty case. But that sound, you can't just owe it all to just new fillers, right? It's not just the foam or the silicone making that. A big part of it actually has to do with this. the new Lecker Tekken switch. For the first time, Wooting decided to offer their own version of a closed bottom switch, which also allows for a much nicer, fuller sound versus the original open bottom designs. The switch is extremely smooth and has a full 4mm of travel, which makes this keyboard feel like a standard mechanical keyboard instead of like a hyper gaming one, which is a good thing in my opinion. Other than that, the overall experience is pretty close to the original 60HE. Still comes with a nice set of PBT double shot keycaps to reduce the shine through your sweaty gaming sessions. Still comes with a nicely executed perky RGB and north facing so that the light actually comes through. Still comes with the strap. Oh wait, but there is one thing though. The 60HE V2 will now be offered in a split spacebar layout as well. Unfortunately though, you can't switch back and forth, so if you decide to go with the split spacebar, you are committing to it, so keep that in mind. So the Wooting 60HE V2 made some drastic improvements in terms of feel as well as the sound. Is that enough for you to like jump out of your seat? Well, it doesn't just end there, right? Yes, the actual electronics inside as well as the software is next. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsor today, PCBWay. PCBWay is a one-stop solution that helps you print PCBs, 3D print, CNC machine, and everything in between. If you are an aspiring designer, you can come to PCBWay and not only make PCBs, but pretty much design and manufacture your product from start to finish. From like machining of the case of your keyboard to multi-layer circuit boards. It's an exciting time right now for some fun contests at PCBWay as well. If you're a 3D printing enthusiast, head to PCBWay to compete in a 3D mascot design contest. You can design your own version of the PCBWay mascot called Eon, or your own fresh mascot and like submit it in. If you're into design or inventions, you can also join the 8th annual project design contest to pretty much show off your most creative ideas in whatever sector you are playing in. Both contests have cash prizes as well as bragging rights attached, so head over to PCBWay.com to participate. Okay, so we all know that Wooting does an excellent job of supporting its products with firmware and software updates. The V2? It's no exception. The biggest change from the original is that the V2 is now a true 8000Hz polling rate PCB similar to the 80HE. With that, the V2 now has the same 0.125 millisecond input latency as the 80HE in Tachyon mode, which is an improvement at least on paper versus like the 1 millisecond input latency of the original 60HE. As usual with my HE keyboard reviews, my input speed test is right here. I'm using the standard MX keyboard as the baseline for speed. In this situation, it's the Cycle 8. Next to that is another pre-made HE keyboard, the Keychron Q1 HE. As you can see, the HE keyboard is clearly faster than the standard MX. However, now we have these also like crazy overclock monsters, the AM Ice Ring, as well as the QCase Hex 80 that's really pushing the envelope of the PCB. What about the Wooting offerings? You can see here that the newer 80HE with the faster polling and response does outspeed the original 60HE Plus. Then comes the new 60HE V2, which has a similar PCB as 80HE, right? And similar speed. But with the utility enhancement, it does edge out its bigger brother a little bit. Honestly, the V2 is faster than the V1, but a normal human probably won't notice. But enhancements, you say? We love that, right? Let's go there. With the launch of the V2, Wooting will also launch the Wootility 5.2.1. So let's take a look at this. With the latest Wootility 5.2.1, you can now adjust the rapid trigger actuation point to a mere 0.1 millimeters. Even with the crazy sensitivity though, Wooting's claim is that there will be no ghost presses and will offer like stable operation, unlike some others out there with that setting. Keychron. This is partly due to the fact that the new Wootility software has a built-in switch selector to provide an optimal curve and calibration for each switch type. I noticed that it starts with like 5 popular switches on here, but I'm sure they're going to add more as it goes and as more switches come out. Finally, Wootility will offer device onboarding to help you set up your HE features like right out of the box, so it takes away the confusion. Features you have like grown to like the actuation point adjustment, rapid trigger adjustments, RGB settings, remapping the keys, and all the cheating modes. I'm just kidding. Stuff like Rappy, Snappy, the SOCD stuff. key toggling, and so on and so forth. And finally, you could also change your keyboard into a controller technically, so you can fully utilize the analog features for racing games and such. I did have a chance to use a V2 for various different gaming sessions, and I can say it didn't make me any better at gaming versus the original. But I did enjoy how it sounded while I was playing. I'm not that great of a gamer. Okay, back to the original question. So if you already have the V1, should you upgrade? Probably not. Honestly, if you cared at all about this, you probably already updated the case to one such as the Optimum case or the Alumaze, or maybe even the crazy Owlab one that no one could actually get a hold of. And you probably upgraded the sound with a set of Gateron Jades or Geon Raws already. If that's you, the V2 would just be a small little upgrade for you. Hence why I said you don't have to jump up and throw your V1 out the window and be like,
"Shut up and take my money!"
Now, if you don't have one and you want to get one, then I suggest you go straight to the V2 and spend the extra $25. You do get a lot more than what you're actually paying. The sound upgrades, the switch upgrades, and the faster internals, it's like no-brainer. If you don't have one, get the V2. Plus, if you do go with the V2, you can also opt to get this swanky new silicone wrist rest that does snap onto the front like this and just kind of locks in. Although I think this wrist rest does also work for the V1, so 60HE V2, a monumental gaming upgrade? The answer is no. The V1 was already a great gaming keyboard. But now, the V2, it makes the Wooting 60 series just a great all-round keyboard to game and type with. It's comfortable, has one of the best sounds yet. Now, the elephant in the room may also be the Hex 80, right, by QK and ATK. In my opinion, that was the gold standard when it came to a best all-round HE keyboard. However, it does cost another like $30 or so more, and it's really an 80HE rival, so if you're in the market for a smaller 60% keyboard that can do it all, you really should just get the Wooting 60HE V2 and just call it a day. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. Thanks, and tot ziens!